Welcome to the Property Nomads podcast. And here are your hosts, Rob Smallbone and Matt McSherry.
The 4 C's that every mentor should have. I've got to stop putting S's in our titles, man.
Yeah, I should really start taking the rein on the titles, which include a lot of S's from now on.
Yeah, we've got to stop doing that. But yeah, the 4 C's that every mentor should have. So this isn't just applicable to property. This, really these fundamentals or this 4C model that we've created can be applicable to any walk of life. In personal training, whether you're, trying to set up different businesses, if you're in the property industry, you can take these away. You can take this podcast away basically and learn so much from it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know what mentorship is. That's normally a good place to start. So we won't lie, this comes straight off of Google.
Trusted Google.
So mentorship is where a more experienced or more knowledgeable person helps to guide a less experienced or less knowledgeable person. For example, when we started training together at the gym, Matt, you're a lot more experienced than I am in terms of different exercises or different techniques for things.
Yeah.
So you took me under your wing and you're like, Rob, this is what we need to do. This is how to do this. Actually, maybe you need to do 12 reps of this. What's your goals, what's your aims, and that sort of stuff. And so for your knowledge, you've passed that on to me. I'm not going to say I'm as knowledgeable as you. In terms of gym stuff, you are still more knowledgeable than I am, but that information has gone from A to B, which is useful.
Yeah. And then it's likewise for yourself, when we first met, I was still relatively new in the property game, and we kind of took it upon ourselves to have a bit of a trade-off. I was training you within the personal training side of things, and vice versa for you in the areas of property. So that worked really well for us, and we didn't charge each other or anything like that. We just had that simple trade-off, and that's why it's great for you guys out there. If you've got a skill set and you're acquiring another skill set off someone else, then utilize this and have a bit of a trade-off.
Yeah, and absolutely. And a lot of people, when they're thinking about this, they don't necessarily know why they need a mentor, why anyone would need a mentor. So a couple of examples, you might want to accelerate your growth. You and I both know from experiences that if you can learn from someone that's already been there, done that, or is doing it at the time, you're going to learn a lot quicker and learn a lot more in such a short space of time, rather than trying to figure out yourself.
Yep, agreed. At the end of the day, if you're at the beginning of your property journey, if that's the niche that you're in, and you don't have a mentor, chances are, reading your books, going to different seminars and stuff, you are going to learn a lot. But if you had a one-to-one kind of mentor to help you along the way, and you're going to be touching base with them on a regular basis, then that's going to accelerate your growth tenfold compared to that of just doing everything on your own. So
yeah, and you can learn from experience as well, from the experience of a mentor. So what have they been, what have they done, what have they learned, and these lessons can get passed on to yourself as a mentee, which is useful. And effectively, you stand on the shoulders of giants. If you think about it, it's a bit difficult to describe in a podcast, granted, but if you look at, take a big triangle. Now, let's just say when you start, you're at the bottom of the triangle, or you're at the bottom of the ladder. Let's use a ladder, actually, that makes more sense. You're at the bottom of the ladder. So if you're at the bottom of the ladder, the next rung up is going to be your mentor. And the next rung up from your mentor is going to be their mentor, and so forth, until you get to the top of the tree, or the top of the ladder. So you're standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah, that is true, because at the end of the day, everyone has a mentor. Anyone who's within a training for a specific a sport, or someone who's in business, someone's in property, whatever it may be, chances are they'll have a mentor, and then the person who's mentoring them will have a mentor, and so on and so forth. And basically it's trickle down knowledge. You're gaining the knowledge of the person who's right at the top of that chain. So it pays to have a mentor, because you're just going to accelerate that growth, and as Rob says, stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a Tony Robbins phrase, thinking about it. But,
I think that's one of his books, actually.
Oh, is it? Well, Tony Robbins, if you're listening there, as a shout out to you for that. And how do you find a mentor? So especially in the property sphere, pretty much you can find a mentor anywhere. We've got 3 key areas. Number 1 would be networking meetings. Now, they don't have to necessarily be property networking meetings. You've got Property Investors Network, PIN events, you've got Progressive Property Network, PPN events, TPN, the Property Nomads. We haven't set up any networking events yet, but watch this space, you never know, that could change. We've also got BNIs, like Business Networking International. So you've got various different meetings that you can go to where you might find a mentor. They might be speaking on stage. They might be recording podcasts.
Yeah.
Numerous different ways.
And I think it's not always the case of, it might be someone who's advertising their services as a mentor. You could just find someone who's, more successful than where you currently are, and you could just, befriend that person, ask them if they would like to go out for a coffee, a drink, or whatever it may be, and build a relationship with them. And chances are, once you've built that relationship, they'll just help you anyway without asking for anything in return. So it's all about putting yourself out there and putting yourself in situations where you can meet like-minded people like that.
9 times out of 10, personal recommendations help as well. So if you've, again, like you said, if you're out and about networking, you're on social media, I think I've just given away the third one by saying that, but hey, personal recommendations are crucial, because if you know someone that's been mentored by XYZ and they give a glowing reference, the chances are, if you've got that trust and rapport, you're going to go down that same route as well.
Yeah. And testimonials as well. Look in on people, and if you are signed up to a specific mentorship program, make sure that you look at testimonials, because they are clear evidence and proof that they are reputable and well-respected people within that niche. So always do your due diligence as well.
And another area, we've just touched on it, social media, another area where you need to do your due diligence, but also where you can find mentors, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, I suppose, pretty much anything.
Well, yeah.
And anywhere.
I mean, the thing as well is that the way technology is moving nowadays, you wouldn't have to pay for a particular mentor. You could go on the likes of YouTube and follow people's videos, and you pick up a lot of golden nuggets from that. And, I suppose that is mentorship in itself.
Right, so there's 3 key places then: networking, meetings, personal recommendations, social media. And some of the main benefits of mentoring is, again, we're saying this from our experiences as well, not just in property, but also, personal training and, different life experiences that we've had. You get increased accountability. So you get you should get set tasks. So it might be to go and view 30 properties in 2 weeks. It might be to make 15 offers on properties. The accountability is key, because if you get set a task and you then have to go back to your mentor and you've not done that task, the amount of BS that comes out your mouth, or the amount of excuses that starts coming out your mouth, it can be incredible. So having that accountability really does help, I found.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think accountability and how we work in terms of accountability, it works very well as well, because we've got a little WhatsApp group, we've got accountability for different areas of the business and for training as well. And just by posting on there, say for example, me and Rob are training in a gym together in the morning because one of us is, away traveling, then we've got to make sure that the other person is on time in the gym, and we're being accountable by posting a picture within that group. So these are just little things that you could do to be accountable, with your mentor or whoever you're working with at that particular time.
And reliability would be the second one, the second big benefit. Again, if you do enough research, and we'll touch on that a bit later on in the episode, having a reliable mentor is really going to help, because they're going to push you forward as well. Increasing your network, you're going to know a lot of people. We all know a lot of people, but your mentor is going to know more people. That famous little black book that you keep hearing about as well. So you'll be able to increase your network. That's really useful for yourself moving forward as well. And also, you keep, what's the best way to put it? You keep one step ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Rather than be lagging behind, you're always at the forefront. You're always just getting that extra edge, which is important.
And I suppose that comes back to the accountability a little bit as well, because mentors should be making you forward think all the time about what you're doing in your particular niche. So if you're getting that accountability and you're getting that, I suppose, reliability from the mentor, then you should be able to move forward a lot quicker than your competition if they've not got a mentor themselves. So again, always being one step ahead is fundamental.
Too true. So the 4 C's that every mentor should have: congruency, contracts, credibility, and commitment. Let's start from the top. Congruency. Whether it's a cynic in me particularly, there's a lot of people out there that can say, anyone can say anything, to be fair. But does your mentor, when you're looking for mentorship, do they do what they say they do? So, for example, if they're a property sourcer, do they source property? If they're a portfolio millionaire, are they a portfolio millionaire? Are they actively investing? Key questions that you need to ask yourself without a shadow of a doubt. It's very easy for someone to be able to talk the talk. I'm sure we've all been there, done that, haven't we?
Yeah. And I think at the moment there's a lot of people trying to jump on the mentorship bandwagon and offer services, but like Rob just said, that do they actually do what they say they do? You know, that's the question you should be asking, because some people can give off this appearance that they're already achieving more than what they're actually achieving, but when you actually ask them, or you know, see the proof, that it's not actually there. So it's always good to do your due diligence on the specific mentor to make sure that, you know, they are active and they are doing what they say.
Yeah, it's very easy to talk the talk. It's all about walking the walk.
Yep.
You know, as well. So any mentor needs to be doing both. That's what we mean by congruence. Are they talking the talk and walking the walk? Contracts. You can and ahh on contracts. However, I believe, or we believe, any good mentor will have one. Now, the reason for that is, I don't know, if you might sign up to go to the gym, or, you know, a mobile phone contract or something like that. You sign a contract. So you know that you've got, I don't know, that phone for 24 months at X price, blah, 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 blah. You know, you're also going to have exit clauses in that contract as well. So if you're doing, go back to the mobile phone, if you're doing a contract for a mobile phone, call it 50 quid a month, but your mentorship's costing you £1,000 a month, does it not make sense maybe to have a contract rather than just have £1,000 go out of your account each month, you know, on a sort of ad hoc basis? You've got to get your paperwork sorted, in my opinion.
It's all about that security, isn't it? Added security to know that you are safe within that investment, essentially.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know, within that contract, you'll have clear roles and responsibilities and requirements from both yourself as a mentee and from the mentor. So if you're doing everything you can, but your mentor's, you know, letting you down because they're just letting you down for whatever reason, you can go back to that contract and say, well, hang on a minute. No, actually, you're not fulfilling your part of the agreement here. You're not fulfilling your part of the contract. I want out.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, putting an investment in, and if someone's, you know, I'm not going to say that people are going to run away with your money. You do hear stories that, you know, this can happen. This is why you've got to do your homework and do your research. But as you say, Matt, you know, the more security that you have, the better it is for yourself as a mentee.
Yeah, totally agree with that, 100%. Always do due diligence and research on that particular person.
Credibility. This kind of links in with congruence to an extent. Do they have what they say they have? We touched on this earlier on, didn't we?
Yeah.
If they're saying they've got a multi-million-pound portfolio, do they have a multi-million-pound portfolio? Try and find that out. To say it's easy to come up with that facade. Online presence. Do they have social media? That's not the be all and end all. You get some old school mentors that might just not have social media at all. Doesn't mean they're not worthy of learning from them. Where it's easy to have a lot of people that, you know, that are going to be on your Facebooks, your LinkedIn's, your YouTubes, you know, Twitter, Instagram, and that sort of stuff. I think
any kind of mentor that, you know, is a good mentor, they should be moving with times anyway and moving with technology. I know some people, like you've just mentioned, are a bit old school in the ways that they work, but in order to provide a better service, you know, everything is moving onto social media, and in order to grow your business, you're going to have to be on social media platforms and you're going to have an online presence. So I think it's quite crucial that mentors are really moving with that time to make sure that they are kind of credible in the area.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I suppose the paradox of that is when you're doing your research, you know, when we go back to do they have what they say they have, you wouldn't necessarily, you know, walk down the street, pick the largest person you can find and have them as your personal trainer.
Yeah.
They might tell you how to eat donuts, but they might not tell you how to, you know, get in shape. So, you know, these little things, do they have previous experience, you know, as well? And as you say, Matt, the research is paramount. It's very easy to have someone say, well, I've got X, Y, Z and we can do X, Y, Z. Okay, fine. Just because you're saying that, you know, is a proof in the pudding.
Yep, agreed.
Commitment. You have to be committed. In life, you just have to be committed. It doesn't matter really what you do, how you do it. You've got to have that commitment. And any good mentor is going to be equally as committed to you, or should be as committed to you as you are to yourself. They should care the same as you do, maybe not as much as, you know, you would do as a mentee, and they're going to want the best for you. And the reason for that is twofold, because if they're able to help you move from A to B as best as possible, obviously that's going to benefit you as a mentee, but also them as a mentor, because if you've had a great experience with them, what are you more than likely to do? Go tell people, oh, I've just worked with X, Y, Z, they're fantastic, definitely recommend you work with them. It goes back to personal recommendations.
Yeah.
So it's twofold.
So it's keeping it in a loop essentially, isn't it? And I think for the commitment side of things as well, I suppose by, you know, you taking that commitment as a mentee and paying, say, for example, for a mentorship, that is commitment in the area that you want to move forward in. You know, it's an investment in yourself. So making that commitment is essential. And again, as Rob just mentioned, it's commitment from the mentor as well. So it works twofold there.
So they're the 4 C's. But I think there's a bonus C. Should we give out the bonus C?
Are you feeling generous?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Always.
Let's give them something extra.
Community. Community is vital to an extent. Look at the amount of Facebook groups that there are out there from different property networking companies or whatever industry you may or may not be in. Having that community is essential.
And I think it's great to have a community because of the research you can do within that community, and I suppose the testimonials that you can gather from that community as well, which is going to give you a better understanding and a better idea if this is the right person for you.
Too true. Again, it's not the be all and end all, because if someone doesn't have an online presence, they might not necessarily have that online community, but it's an extra thing to be aware of.
Yeah.
And as you say, Matt, you can easily tap into a plethora of knowledge within that group, within that community. So bear that one in mind moving forward. And at the end of the day, these 4 C's and that bonus C as well, all of this is important, but the one key component missing is you. As an individual, yourself, ourselves, as an individual, because it's all in the mind. And we touch on it time and time and time and time and time again. A mentor won't spoon feed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll give you a kick up the ass without a shadow of a doubt. They should be accountable, reliable, etc., etc. But you have to take the action.
And that's where it comes into at the end of the day. It's all about the action you take. It's all right acquiring the knowledge, but the difference between actually being successful and not being successful is the taking action. And having that kind of mentor is going to help, as Rob just mentioned, be accountable and push you in the right direction. But they can only push you so far. After that, if you're not taking the action, then you can't leave that down to them, because at the end of the day, it's you who's not took that action in order to move forward.
You have to take action to gain traction.
There you go.
That's how we roll with that. And a couple of things that you might hear people consider about, a couple of mentorship myths that we should bust. Again, that's way too many essays. I've got to stop doing this to myself. You hear people say, oh, but it's expensive. You're going to hear people say, well, it takes too much time.
Just coming back to that though, it's expensive. That is a mindset. Because at the end of the day, if someone's saying it's expensive, why is it expensive? It's an investment. It's not an expense. It is, but it's an expense in yourself. It's an investment in yourself. So people who are saying that it's expensive, chances are they don't really want to be successful in their niche as much as they think they do.
Amen to that. That's funny. I couldn't have said that any better myself. It's so right. The fact that, in fact, to be fair, the fact that even I said expensive, that's yeah. But it's true. You do hear people say that, oh, it's expensive, but you're absolutely right, Matt. You got to think of it the other way. What's the investment in it?
Yep.
Another one. It takes too much time. Well, that's crap, because we're going to get mentored, but from the day that we're born to the day we die, we're mentored one way or another in life, whatever you want to call it. So I think that's BS.
Well, I think that comes down to time versus money as well. At the end of the day, if it's going to take too much time, is it good time well spent? That's the way you got to look at it. Yeah, fair enough. It might be pricey, but it's an investment in yourself. It might take too long in your eyes. However, what is actually too long? Because at the end of the day, if that's going to advance you in your business or in whatever niche you're in, then again, it's time versus money. It's an investment.
And it doesn't represent value for money. It's a common thing that you hear people say. Again, that's the whole point of this episode, wasn't it? The podcast episode. Do your research. This is why you should be mentored. This is why you need to be mentored. These are the 4 C's that we recommend you look through and think about when you're thinking about going for mentorship. So if you get all that in place, that will negate that point. Another common thing you hear people say is, well, what if I'm not ready? Half the time in life, you're never ready.
Yeah.
The whole point is to almost be proactive rather than reactive.
But I suppose that again would come down to the mentor and the type of person they are, because at the end of the day, they should be kind of running, a bit of a background check on yourself to ensure that you are ready to take the next step. Because at the end of the day, if there's certain areas that you need to work on in order to be ready for a mentorship, then they should be pointing these out and working with you in order to achieve that, to then join the mentorship program, whatever it may be. So I suppose that's, it works hand in hand from the mentee point of view and the mentor point of view.
Well, let's finish it off with a great quote, and this is something that I found in Romania a little while ago. And I won't read out the Romanian because that's complicated, but it's the one at the bottom. So it's done by a poet called George Enescu, a famous Romanian poet, and this was coined in 1931. Simplicity in life is the real freedom. So if you're looking to achieve your financial freedom, your time freedom, your so forth, whatever you're looking to do, whether it's property or any other business aspect, having a mentor should make your life a lot more simple. It's going to push you and it's going to be tough, but at the end of the day, it should make your life more simple.
I suppose it's about being simple, taking the right action, and being smart in what you're doing.
Yeah, I like that. Simplicity in life is a real freedom.
So go out there, take the action, and gain the traction.
Yeah, we've got a fantastic mini-series coming up for you. So for the next 5 or 6 episodes, they are going to be sent. We've got some fantastic interviews lined up with different people, lettings agents, other investors, successful investors in property, also a tax expert. So we're just trying something different with this. It's going to be fantastic. We think you're going to love it. Say any feedback is useful. Also, if you're a successful property investor yourself or you're in property, you've got some services to offer and you're thinking of appearing on the podcast, let us know at podcast@thepropertynomads.co.uk. We're always after new and inspiring stories and people that are within the industry. So feel free to get in touch with us and enjoy the mini-series.